Hi there, this is Alec, and today I want to give you a quick overview of a consolidation environment within MyBI app. This is some of our latest features done in December 2021. So this is a demo company that's got 4 companies consolidated into it, and this MyBI environment basically helps you to automate your reporting from any Pastel partner, Pastel Xpress or Sage 50Cloud database. And this actually is 4 different consolidated environments or Pastel databases that's come into this environment that I'm going to demo and give you a quick overview of. All right, so firstly, this is the main page. In the landing page, you can actually see what reports have been auto-generated. You generate it by a simple mapping. There's a single environment that you map your accounts per company, and then that obviously would tell this environment where each account will be classified to. But the rest is all automated based on what capturing has been done within Pastels, the various Pastels. Here on the right hand side, you'll see this is a full interactive environment with multiple slicers that you can basically guide and transform the reports that you're going to see. Here are the 4 companies. These are all generic names, so it's all demo data, but this is company 1, 2, 3, 4, basically just telling you how many companies are reflected year in. Here is some branches that have also been mapped, and here are all the reports. All these reflected in white are reports that you can click through. All right, so I'm going to start off with a dashboard. So there are icons over here. This is the icon for the dashboard, and it's all throughout the environment. You'll see this little icon. This is the third-party reporting environment. This is when you want to issue PDFs that you want to send to a third party like a bank or an auditor, or you want to send it to the management team for management reports packs. Here is the cog. This little cog leads you through to the mappings that has been done, and this is when you do drill downs of numbers so you can see the details. All right, so firstly I'm going to go into the dashboard. Once you click, this will actually come up. So this dashboard basically just gives you an overview of what is going on in each of these databases. All right, so let's just quickly have a look what we can see here at the top right. You'll actually, or let's rather start here. This dashboard reflects from the start, basically telling you that it's opening balance included up to the second, so the second month, which is February of 2023. So why is that 2023 and we are currently now in January 2022? Well, it's because we are reflecting here. You'll see this is a monthly trend environment here at the bottom. It shows you everything in solid colors and solid lines. Those are actuals up to date. All right, so it goes up to the 11th month. And why the 11th month? Well, this companies over here, they are all March to February year ends. So this is the 11th financial period, meaning that's January 2022. But what goes on here in the stepped line environment, that's your budgeting environment. So you can budget in any Pastel environment for the current year and the next year. So the fact that we've got data here from month 1 in 2023 up to month 12, you can see it's all stepped lines, it's not solid, so it means actuals have not yet come into this database, but you can already see what you have budgeted for the next year. So that obviously is a nice reflection as to have you budgeted, and secondly, where you think you're going. Here at the bottom, here is also an interactive slicer. This is the calendar slicer telling you, well, if you only want to see up to where we are currently at, so let's say January, you can then go and select it. You can say, well, start off with my opening balances and then reflect up to my January 2022. So this then would change. I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm going to click up to 2022-01, which is January 2022. And this will then update everything up to the point that you have selected. So as it updates now, you'll see that all of these values start changing. All right, so firstly, here on the left hand side, here you'll see some insights into how many quotes are open at this stage over this whole database set. How many sales orders are open, how many purchase orders are open. Then this is the month to date trend. So in this month to date, 1.6 have been invoiced over this all 4 companies, and you've got GP of 1.6, meaning that no costs have yet been captured, and you've got 1.6 million of net profit. Well, again, no expenses have been captured, so only sales. Here you've got working capital bubbles. So these working capital bubbles tell you what is going on in all of your working capital environments. So debtors, for instance, you've got 7.5 million of debtors, you got 129 overdrawn cash, and you've got 8.1 million of creditors. So this is in debit, by the way. If you then click on any of these environments, you'll actually be taken through to detail. So if I go and say, well, I want to see what my open quotes look like, I can go and click there, and actually takes me to a list of open quotes that balances back to that 540 million that you just saw there. And if I go and I start scrolling down, you actually see, I'm just going to hold down control and press down. This is a whole list of what makes up that 540 million that we've seen there on the dashboard. Okay, so that's where you can immediately go and see how you are actually, what the detail of each of these numbers are. So I'm going to go back there. There again, I can either go back to the home page, which is where we start off with. I can go back to the dashboard. I'm going to go back to dashboard for now. So all of these numbers you can quickly click through and then go and see a list. Let's take, for instance, debtors. You can go through to debtors, and you'll see here, this is your debtors, and this is the listing. And if I go down to the bottom, there's that 7551 or 7.5 million as reflected on the dashboard. So you can quickly see, without going to your Pastel database, this is across the board over multiple companies, what customers owes you what. And then you can also even see how it's made up. So if I double click, for instance, on that value, it'll actually give me a list of transactions from the newest at the top to the oldest at the bottom, how actually this customer has done business with me and how I've transacted with them. So you can actually immediately see, without going into detail, how is that amount that they're owing me made up. So is it a new amount or is it quite an old amount? You can also click here. There are buttons on each report. You can click your open month, so that shows you a per month value. So we were just on this value over here. You can see how the transactions on a net base have come in on a month-to-month basis. And if you then click on that, double click on the actual text here, you'll see how it's transacted, how the transactions have come into this account specifically on a month-to-month basis. And you'll kind of see how it steps down, because as it goes from newest to oldest, you'll see the older things will obviously step to the left, downwards and downwards. All right. Then you also have the feature, another button here at the top. If you wanted to send this as a picture to anybody, you can also say copy to a picture. Once you've done this, this becomes a picture. And if I go Control N, so I'm just opening a new spreadsheet over here, I can just paste it down, and that picture is now something you can either send on an email, or you can send over whatever platform you want to your team, so that you also have a view of this, or you can even put in your working papers if you are, for instance, reconciling or auditing this specific transactions. All right, so I'm just going to quickly go back to my app environment. Some of the other features here, in some of the reports, you'll just see it says show items with 0 values. If you want to show all your items, these become the items with 0 values. Remember, you have transacted with customers, but they have no balances at this stage. So sometimes you kind of want to see what has happened on other accounts, even though they are on 0. So you've got access to every single transaction. All right, not only the transactions with balances. Now the reason is because in MyBI app, we have gone and we have made sure that we give you access to every single transaction that's in the database. All right, so I'll show you also here on the dashboard. At the top, you'll actually see in this, in the data that underpins everything we're looking at here, you'll see there are 226,345 transaction lines in the GL. That basically is underneath this data. It basically is where all these values are built up from. On the documents level, which is your original transaction level, your original document, for instance, when you issue an invoice or a quotation, that's your documents database. There are 435,435 transaction lines. Okay, so you've got access to all of these lines without even having to to go into Pastel. I'll show you, for instance, how this also changes once you go into the interaction. If I just say, well, just show me company one, all of this changes to only company one. So you've got a consolidated view, and you can also quickly go and see individual views of each company and how they have fared. And by the way, once you've done this, you can actually go and you can now click through to your debtors, and you'll see that your debtors will now start changing. Let's just go back and hide the zeros again. There, that's now changed to 1.7 million. So everything underneath will change based on your selection here. If I just want to see how company 3 has done, then the company 3 data will basically start reflecting here, and all the values and all the graphs will start changing. So you've got the ability to look over multiple companies and see nice data coming through, and also view consolidated environments as we start off with. Then some of the other features that you may want to also just have a look at. A lot of times we want to see, for instance, what are the actuals like. So this trend line over here shows you how you kind of have fared against budget, but you maybe just want to look at, you know, your budget. So you can also click on, you can toggle between only looking at a budget or only looking at actuals. So you also have that interactive ability, and if you bring both back on, you'll see that you have a nice comparison. Over here, this is a year-to-date income statement comparison. You see that's the 2021 year. You got 15 million in sales, and there's 17 million for the current year. Over here, this is quite a new feature. This is called forecasts. So it tells you what is your forecasted sales based on your current trajectory. So it says, well, currently, and this calculation works as follows. It says, well, you're going to make 22 million worth of sales if we consider what you actually have done up to the previous month. Remember, now we are currently in the middle of January 2022. So it says, well, we take actuals up to the end of the previous month, which would have been the 31st of December 2021, and we take the budgets for the next months that are still ahead of us up to the end of the year. So that would be the 11th month and the 12th month. If we take them all together, that's the forecasted sales. So if you hit your budgets, basically, you're going to have that as a number. So you got this forecasted environment, which often helps us when we want to try and forecast what is our profit, for instance, going to be, because we have to pay taxes or we have to pay some kind of preliminary tax. That helps us to have some kind of visual as to where we're going. Right, I'm just going to switch everything back on. So now we're going back into consolidated view. Then if you ever wanted to view only your entities by a specific category, so often we transact within a consolidation, we transact within each other. So that's called, you know, intergroup transactions. If you go and you actually classify those entities within your pastels, for instance, you classify them as intercompany accounts. So let's say company 4 does business with company 2. You can go and in those pastels, in the pastel of company 2, for instance, you can go and classify company's 4 account specifically as intercompany, and the same with company 4. Then you've got an entity category here that you can actually go and carve out. So you can say, well, don't show me, I just want to see the non-internal company transactions, meaning I just want to have like more a group consolidation view. So I want to rip out all of the transactions that happened intercompany. You can do that by this category. So we go and flag every single transaction that, or we actually go and plant on every single transaction line. We go and show what is the entity's category as per Pastel. Now you can then use that to basically take out every transaction. That's not only the original transaction, meaning if I, for instance, had an invoice, the debit leg, the credit leg, and the VAT leg, it's also the cash leg. So there were cash between each other, and that's a very simple way then to do consolidations or consolidation journals. All right, then a few other features, just quick. I'll show you that, for instance, on a balance sheet, this is the balance sheet view. You can you have all the functionalities of, you know, seeing a rolled up environment. Then you can also see months by just selecting it or making it, you know, closing it again, because that's sometimes simpler to look at. You got the slices over here as to what you want to see. You know, do you want to see only one company or all of them? You got the copy to picture and Excel. You cannot manipulate within this environment, so it's fully automated, but you can copy to Excel, for instance, and then Control N for a new work environment, you say Control V. Now there you've got a balance sheet. It's a picture of that balance sheet that you can, you know, actually manipulate. You can type, or you can mark in yellow, etc., just as you want, or not yellow, color, any color. Then you've got you can either say I want to see all details. You can go into a level, see all details, or you can roll it up there, or you can individually go and double click and just open every single one and have a look into more details. That's available on every single report, by the way. Once I go back to my home page, there are other, these are all your financial reports. There's a balance sheet, an income statement, cash flow statement. So this is a transactional cash flow statement, also fully automated. So you don't have to do your cash flows. It's not difficult. You can actually see a lot of details. For instance, if I go here, let's just start off and I say, well, my dashboard tells me I've got 129,000 Rand of overdrawn cash. If I go into my cash book, now it tells me that there's the 129, but it's quite nice. It tells you that, for instance, if you look at your cash, how it flowed through, you made payments over the 2-year period that we've got an open year, 34 million was paid. All right, so if you double click over here, it actually tells you, well, you paid 34 million to trade creditors, and if you double click again, it actually says to you which creditors you've paid. Oh, you've paid all these guys over this period. So it's already it's gone down to a lot of detail. You've got all this business insight, this BI available to you to make nice decisions and to look at your data. Now, the one thing I haven't shown you yet, I'm going to show you now. So if you open it, you can even see this is the guys, for instance, that were paid. And if you go and, let's say, for instance, that guy over there, if you double click it, it'll even tell you on which dates the people were paid. All right. So now let's go and let's say we've got a question. We want to see, you know, any value here. What is this value for? We don't know. We don't understand it. Then we can double click on it, and then it drills down to the raw original transactions. So it'll tell you, oh, wow, we paid for Office 365 licenses over here on that date. So this is, as we call it, a GL export. Okay, but you've got that access right in the app. You don't have to go and get that anywhere. You've got that across multiple companies. And this is also enriched data. There are 100 fields made available to you, multiple and different fields that you can all play with. These are the mapping fields. And for instance, over here, you can see what module you used. You used your cashbook module, you used cashbook 1 payments module. You also can see, you know, which entity was used. Oh, this is the entity is supplier MIC 001. That's all been shown to you. And this nice field over here called transaction ID, which helps you to go and identify all of the legs of every transaction. This is done by database. It's actually it's written to the database. All the debits and credits for every single transaction are given the same transaction ID. That means you can bind and find all your debit and credit legs that balances back to that important 0. You can find very easily. You don't have to go and, you know, battle to find that overview of the whole transaction once you want to, for instance, look at what happened there, or you want to audit it. You can always go back as to where you came from there, back to the to your original report where you just drilled into. Some of the other reports available, you've got a standard trial balance available, you've got debtors analysis. We also went there through the dashboard. You can also go there from your landing page. You've got a quick fixed asset note. And then you got your top customers, top suppliers. You can quickly see who did I sell to most. This is a top customer list, and you can see this in company 1, it was these guys. In company 2, these guys. And this is top 10. You can also, you know, go and select them and say, I want to see the top 20, top 30, top 40, and all. So you can toggle between them quickly and to see all of it. And again, open your months to see how you've sold to each of these customers. All right. So you get a lot of nice insights to see, well, this customer may be my, you know, second biggest customer, but I only sold to that customer, you know, once in that year, but he's still my second biggest customer. So it gives you a bit of insight as to, well, is that, you know, is that my biggest customer, or is that the way we sell to our customers only once off and then it's the second bigger customer? You sometimes want to make, you know, something of it. You also have full insight into journals. It tells you what journals have been posted to all your databases. This is across 4 companies, but you can obviously pre-select and say, I just want to see in company 2. It tells you journal, supplier journals, etc. And here at the bottom, it tells you how many transaction lines you processed on a journal basis, because those are quite risky environments. We want to make sure we have full control of it. You also have reporting for daily cash flow, daily sales. Here you've got transactional insight, like I showed you previously, what your quotes look like. You can see your open purchase orders, and you can see your open sales orders, etc. And here's quite an important one, very, very new. It's called open batches. Now in Pastel, we often have open batches. So people would tell us, no, but I've already posted it. You know, they say, well, I expected sales to be more than what it is. And the guy says, but I've already erased it. And then suddenly it comes out, oh, I haven't yet done a batch update. So this open batch environment tells you across the board what documents are still in open batch status. So it'll actually tell you it's tax invoices that are still open, or supplier invoices that are still open and not batch update. So now, instead of going to every Pastel database and to every single user, jumping between users, you can now see on one screen, in one environment, one report across your entire companies, and well, at least all of them that you've brought into one single environment. You can now see which ones are actually still in open batch phase, and you can obviously take that into consideration when you are doing your reports or doing your analysis, so that you don't kind of have a big debate as to why sales aren't where it should be, or credits is lower than, you know, why haven't we captured all of them. Second, you can also do a nice review before the guys do batch updates. You can do the review here and then say, okay, you can now do the batch update. I've done my review. Also, inventory items insight. You can see top items that are sold to customers and top items that have been purchased from suppliers, and this is by value and by quantity. So you'll see that once it comes in, you'll see how it actually gives you the top items for every single company. And this is the top items by quantity. So I always give an example. You know, you can have one Ferrari that you sold in the year, and it's a massive sale, it's your biggest sale, but you sold, you know, 10,000 breads. So quantity wise, your breads are far more, it's far more quantity. So that's insight that you may want to have. Say, oh, I'm selling, you know, 9,000 breads this month and 8,000 next month. But the one Ferrari is also important to know, because you want to say, well, what is my biggest value mover that had an impact on my sales? Then here, important customer databases. You have full insight into your customer details. So this gives you all access to see, first of all, what your customer database look like, and you can also give this to your marketing teams to say, well, or to your whole team to say, well, when we have, for instance, we want to call a customer, you know, he hasn't paid, or we want to just follow up with him, you can come into this environment. So you don't have to go into Pastel or to one or other, you know, list that's on somebody's computer outside of your ERP system. It's right here, and you can quickly gain access. You can also send everybody a quick email. If I go and I say, oh, I'm going to send out a mailer to all my customers, I can just press this copy button. It actually takes all of the emails here. And now if I go again into let's just press Control N, I can go and say, well, just copy this over for me. And there, it's now nicely copied into an environment. So you can also copy that into your email environment, into the BCC field, and then send it out quickly, so you don't have to have a very difficult challenge to get all access to all those emails. Same applies for suppliers. You've got full insight into your suppliers databases with telephone numbers and emails, etc., etc. And then you've got project-based insight. So if you're using projects, the module projects within your Pastel, that's where you can get access to it. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed just having a look here. Thank you for just having the time, or given the time to show you guys this. And if there's any other questions, you know, we love helping guys using Pastel to automate the reporting procedure, and more important, to help them grow through high level and corporate level business intelligence that they have access to, so they can make quick decisions but informed decisions. All right, guys, have a great day further. Bye-bye.